All right, hello everyone. Welcome back. We are in our second video with Coach T. Wilson, and Taiwana has joined us again because she just couldn't get enough of you all. And we hope you can't get enough of her either. She's awesome. So she is the head president, CEO, whatever you want to say. She is it of Trendy Elite, and she does leadership coaching. She is a best-selling author. She has been featured on Fox, CBS, NBC, any acronym you want to talk about, and we have featured her for this lab week, and she's going to be here talking with us about how do you take professional social media and turn it into something that will benefit you employment wise. So this actually came about too because of the Cell Bowl. You know, if you're talking to me, Cell Bowl has to come up at some point. So last year's winners, so season 2 winners of the Cell Bowl was University of Connecticut, and their MVP, who was also their MIP, Most Improved Player. We were talking, and she was going to do a post on LinkedIn and asked if she could use my name. I said, absolutely. And then we started talking about her LinkedIn account. And I was telling her, you know, you really should do these few things to make it so that you will be seen by prospective employers and get a job. And so she changed those few things. And within hours, she was getting job offers from not even the state she was in. So I thought, you know, that's something. And maybe I should do something about that and try to help others with that. So, what did I do? I wrote an article for today's clinical lab, and I talked with the program directors on Facebook about if they wanted some help, some videos on these different topics. They said absolutely. So, that is where this lab week came from. So, this year's lab week is focused on prospective graduates from medical laboratory programs who are going to be trying to land the job that they desire, not necessarily just their first job, but the job that they want in the way that they want it. So we talked. We talked in the previous video, which is preparing a resume and cover letter. We talked about how to represent yourself to get hopefully the job that you desire. And that there are many out there because of the workforce shortage. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you're going to get everything that you want, okay? Because no employer is going to sit there and say, what days do you want to work? How much do you want to get paid? What holidays do you want off? No, it's the other way around. We have these availabilities. This is our opening pay. You have this amount of experience. You are in this bracket, and you get to sign up for which of the holidays you don't want to work and which ones you do, and you have to work holidays. So, you know, and we have a rotating schedule of weekends, whether it's every third, every other, but you will work weekends. So we talked about all that. So, spoiler alert, you will not have the kind of lifestyle maybe that you have now as a student. You're not going to go out partying every weekend. You have responsibility. Welcome to adulting. I know a lot of you are working through college, and you already are adulting, and we are very appreciative and very responsive to that. So, I mean, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. But just to let you know that when you get into healthcare, if you're not already there, that these are the kinds of things you need to think about. Okay, so let's go ahead and start looking at our presentation. I paused the share. Oh, there we are. Okay. So we are going to be leveraging the power of social media today, but professional social media. Okay, so any social media that's out there, you can turn it into professional social media accounts if you want to. All right. So our goal audience today, although we are gearing this towards prospective graduates, that does not mean that current professionals can't utilize this information to improve their employment and leadership and advancement as well. So please be aware. So we're going to be talking about the professional brand identity. What is that? Why do we care? And how do you make it? You are looking at two ladies right now that have their own logos in the corner of their screens. And that came from their own creativity. And we're going to talk about that. Do you need a logo? Maybe, but maybe not. So, how do you identify when you need that and what does that mean? We're going to talk about the different platforms that you can use for professional networking and when is it appropriate and when is it not. What are these best practices and how can we network and encourage career opportunities through these best practices? So let's go ahead and get started. Taiwan, by the way, I'm so happy you're with me again. We're having so much fun.
We are. I'm super excited to be here on your platform and talking about this topic. I mean, we have covered between this show and the last show some
Mhm.
awesome tips that the viewers will be able to readily, quickly implement and start to see some results on. So I'm excited to talk about this particular topic because we are industry leaders in our own right on different platforms. So I
Right?
think that's pretty cool to mention. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm excited.
Well, I do want to mention, and I do this every time I'm around you, that Taiwana is actually the reason why I did better on LinkedIn. So whenever I think about LinkedIn, I automatically think of her. So if we're going to do any show about improving LinkedIn or using LinkedIn, she is on that show because um, she has been dubbed a leadership maven, but she's also this LinkedIn guru by my personal profession, not because she calls herself a LinkedIn guru, but I am calling her that. So, all right, let's get into this. Let's build your brand. So, what is a brand identity? It's that collective representation of you. So whatever you want that to be. So number one, the first thing you've got to do is identify this ultimate goal of what you're trying to achieve because everything that you do should be driven by and connected to that goal. If it doesn't serve that purpose, it's not worth doing. Do you agree with that statement, Taiwana?
I agree. I agree with it.
She has so much that she does, and all of it also is linked to this original goal and outcome that she wants to achieve. And I do the same thing. And we both do it differently. So there is not one size fits all kind of scenarios. It is really what you want to make it to be. So that's why you have to be intentional. Intentionality is huge here. Okay. So it's that collective representation of you as a professional, and it tells others how you want them to see you. So you're conveying your values, your integrity, your experience, and your skills. Okay. This is also visual. So if you look for both of us separately, you'll see lots of different websites and links that we have been a part of and on or are part of our brand. But you may see Taiwana as her name herself, speaking. You might see me as my name, being a public speaker, but the rest of the kind of stuff we might just put under our brand, right? So most everybody knows me as Medical Lab Lady Gill. It'll be funny if I ever get to the point where people don't know my name They just know Medical Lab Lady Gill, right? Um, so that's how mine started. And then from there, people might know my name. But it might be different for Taiwana. Do they know your name first and then your companies?
So most of the people know my name or they'll know Coach T. It depends on the context before they know Trendy Elite. And everything that I do, I'm selling Taiwana Wilson. That is who I am, and I bring that to Trendy Elite. People book services because of me and what we can offer, but they get their first exposure to me.
So she has help. I'm just me. Medical Lab Lady Gill is me. I do have people that help with like cell bowl and everything, but I have not gotten as far as she has so far. We both kind of started something at the same time. What did you start in 2017?
So I actually started my business, Trendy Elite Coaching and Consulting, in 2017. That's when I formed that organization, got my LLC, got a EIN number, so I am legally doing business. My business is certified, so it's not a hobby or anything like that. It's certified as a woman-owned business, as a minority-owned enterprise. As well. So, your journey is going to look different depending on what you are doing. So, are you using it just for a brand or a cause? Or are you looking at it from a whole business perspective? And so it's really not a matter of, getting further than anybody because our
Hmm.
journeys are different. It just depends on what you are trying to do or trying to establish. So I compete for government contracts under the brand of Trendy Elite, or that company of Trendy Elite, doing corporate training, corporate coaching. And so I think it just depends on what you are doing and what your brand is inclusive of.
And she is a full-time um, person in the lab too. Like she has a full-time job in the lab as well. So she's straddling so many different worlds and sectors that when you are identifying what you want that brand to be, you really want to think about what is that ultimate goal. So it might be that you already have this desire, this goal, because of a problem that you want to solve. And then it's just how do you get there? Or you might have this goal and it starts something that builds into other things. So I think we're kind of on the different ends of the spectrum there with how ours started. Um, Mine, I did not expect this to go where it went. So it kind of just organically developed, but she had, I think, more of an idea. She was more intentional about it, going as big as it is. And mine was intentional. It just was not the same kind of process. And both of those things are okay. Both of those tracks are okay, and they're perfectly great. But what is the professional identity that you want? I hope you're thinking about that as you're watching this video. Maybe get a piece of paper out, start writing ideas down, things down that you want to be known for. Okay, so we're going to give you examples in this video. We're going to talk about how do you implement ways in order to successfully put your brand identity out there, and it really is unique to everyone. That's why we have this fingerprint up here. We are two wonderful people doing great things, but not anywhere the same at all in what we're doing. But yet we're still intersecting in different compatibility or capacities. So this is great. All right. So it's good to talk about these things. Okay. So since you are students, that's our focused audience right now. What exactly could those possible outcomes be? Well, first of all, the goal is to get a job or get the job that you desire. So you want to represent yourself as a responsible and skilled professional. But wait a minute, I'm a student, right? How do I do that? And I'm a student. Well, you can use your clinical experience that you have had during your time as a student. If you had done work study, you can use that too. So everyone's going to end up having this unique skill set that nobody else is going to have. There might be overlaps, like we were just talking about. We've got some overlaps too. But if you look at what we do, they are so different, but somewhat the same at the same time. She has a whole umbrella of stuff that she does under this one company. And I was learning about it and it was blowing my mind off the camera because I was trying to wrap my head around everything. And it's, when Shrek is like, onions have layers. Taiwana Wilson has a ton of layers. And the more that you dive deep into them, the more layers that get exposed. There's more and more there. So we're going to talk about the stuff that help you. As she was saying, we're going to stay focused on the stuff that goes for students. So you come for the how do you get in situation, and then you stay for the leadership. And then once you get into leadership, you explore more options and you seek her out for other things that she's not going to tell you about today. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is true, but I wouldn't say that we do totally different things. I would say that it's the difference between a reference laboratory and a hospital medical laboratory, right? Of how we are doing the additional things that we do. Our goal is the same. Our goal is the same of promoting medical laboratory science, promoting you all as students as great leaders so that you can stand out, so that you can get the opportunities that you desire. So our goal is the same. Our vehicle is a little bit different. And so for me, because I grew up, my dad, when he was living, it was an entrepreneur. So he was a serial entrepreneur with many different business endeavors. And so although I am a scientist and that is my main thing, or what I have been doing from a background perspective, I have found a way to leverage being a medical laboratory scientist, being a leader, and turning that expertise into a business. And so I think some of that this kind of could be kind of hard to understand is that as scientists, we're so technical, we're so black and white, we're so one way, one track. And when you are in the entrepreneurial space or mindset, nothing is ever one track. Failure is part of the process. So it is, you know that you will fail, but you're not afraid to take risk either. And so I think, we are on the same pathway, but we are just doing it a different route with the same goal. So, my professional identity and landscape will look very different than yours as students. When I was a student, I still had some of these entrepreneurial things inside of me, even at you all's age. So you have to, your professional brand is everything that you bring to the table. Why people choose you, what makes you unique, what makes you different. And that's okay if it doesn't look like mine or Tiffany's or whoever else is a champion in this landscape.
So we do have sometimes different audiences, but a lot of times they turn into the same audience because of the progression of students into the lab and in that leadership space. So I feel like they start with me and they grow with you. That's what I meant about being different. We're in these different spaces because we're starting the journey now because we're in the same video together. So thank you for being on with us and sharing your expertise and all your wisdom. Um, So depending on what type of student you are or what your professional goal is, your ultimate professional goal is, your brand is going to look different. Um, Her professional goal is a little bit different than mine, and that's why she has these great differences in the stuff that I have. So I don't know. She's so you're so complex with all the stuff that you have. You're really blowing my mind today. I'm enjoying being around her, and I would love to describe everything about her, but it's just so hard. Um, so she really does. She has a lot of experience, a lot of great projects and stuff that she works on, and so much help that she provides to people. So when you get out there and you want to start getting into leadership and you want to have a mindful and intentional growth process within the field or maybe even outside the field, please get a hold of Coach T. Wilson because she is really going to help improve your opportunities. So your goal may be to become a person with a 4-year degree. Your goal may be to become a professional with a doctoral degree or a master's. We don't really know. So it is up to you at the other end of this video to identify what is it that you really want to do, and then how do your unique experiences provide a skill set that's going to implement that capability that you've been groomed for. So your life has a purpose, and your purpose is different than everybody else's, and you have a unique one. And um, we are trying to help you identify what specifically is that and how can you use your uniqueness and gifts in order to directly affect your outcome. So representation of you as a professional identity and a brand is including not only what you say and do, but also what people see. Okay, so there is a visual identity, and that includes profile pictures. So when we talk about intentionality, and we talk about social media, a really great thing to do, and you're going to see this on multiple slides, is to separate your personal social media with your professional social media. I am in the process of trying to do that with Facebook. Um, I am having varying success uh, because the educators in the program director's Facebook page are not wanting to let that go. I want to jump into that space with Medical Lab Lady Gill, and it's not working out so far. Everybody's so used to seeing my face now at this point. But I want to keep my children identity separate, and I want to keep my own personal family life outside of that national stage. So I'm just trying to be intentional there and safeguard my family. So we also have personal and professional social media accounts. Well, I should have just put that up there. I clicked and it didn't catch, so that's why. So when you do Facebook, and you're going to see this on a Facebook slide, it does, if you already have a professional, let me back that up. If you have a personal Facebook account and you start to make another account, it automatically links it to your personal one. Do not do that. In fact, a lot of your corporations that you may work for, like the college that I work for, it specifically states within the marketing strategies and procedures that you cannot make or use your personal Facebook, your personal social media in order to represent the college and the institution. So I think that's a really great plan. And I just started on Facebook recently for Medical Lab Lady Gill. And so I'm trying to use that to also get the word out about the lab and the program that I teach. So we're going to be talking about all these different ones. They're not all in, this is not all inclusive. There are many more social media accounts that you can use professionally, but these are the ones that we're covering in this video. And then representation also includes who you are in the community and how you have related to that community. Do you have scholarships that are responding to the need for a workforce through a medical institution? They're paying for your education, you're going to work for them later. Or do you do community service through blood drives and stuff? There are so many things that go into your professional identity and your brand. Do you have any publications or awards that you are known for? We mentioned in the other video, we are both alumni of the ASCP 40 Under 40, and how it affected us is different. And why we chose to go in that is different. You know, there's so many things that can make your brand what you want it to be. So I'm giving examples using Medical Lab Lady Gill here. So the outcomes that I wanted when I first started the YouTube channel, that's where it started. It was just YouTube, was to provide accurate educational resources for medical laboratory students, educators, and professionals to improve the transparency and accessibility of the medical laboratory to the community and other healthcare partners, and to combat the workforce shortage. And this logo that you see here was not what I used at the very beginning. This honestly came about because of years of realizing I need to have a logo. And I was using a picture. It wasn't me, but the picture did not represent what I was trying to convey. And for the longest time, I had to think about, well, what would that logo be? And so in this logo, what I tried to do was incorporate what a medical laboratorian does and visually represent what people who know nothing about the lab would be able to recognize and identify that with what the content was that I was covering. So this came about, you'll see when it came about, but it really came about because of Cell Bowl. So the representation that Medical Lab Lady Gill has is the YouTube channel. We have expanded into competitions and game shows, Lab Week, but that's not what it was identified for and started for. It was just started to help my own students, and then it expanded. The logo is your visual identity, and then the social media accounts now that I have under Medical Lab Lady Gill are YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Linktree, and then LinkedIn is my personal name, because they tell you you have to use your name on LinkedIn. So that's where that's different, and you all should be aware of that. If you do decide to use a kind of branded name, just like we are both displaying here, in certain spaces, you have to use your name or you may use your name. So we're both public speakers too, and we go under our name. I have the store, and that is promoting the profession by you all being walking billboards. So thank you. So we also have Cell Bowl. That's going, one of the main things that we're trying to do there is encourage community engagement with educational programs so that students can connect with their local institution that will then connect them to their local hospitals or whatever type of place they want to work later, so that there's this a chain of improvement and accessibility, and not just, well, I graduated high school, I don't know what I'm going to do now. So we want to set that link up, that pipeline. And then now there's articles that's under my God-given name. But at the same time, Medical Lab Lady Gill is always mentioned. So this is just an example of how a brand can be built. Taiwana, did you want to mention anything here?
No, I would say for the sake of your students, your brand is you. So, for the sake of the viewers here, you all will be starting by creating your brand, and out of that, you might get, a brand such as Medical Lab Lady Gill, or my brand is Coach T. Wilson, your leadership trainer, coach, and mentor. But so it just might depend. But anytime like articles, as Tiffany mentioned, all of that's going up under my government name. Trademarks of that, again, all of those things are establishing your professional identity. But for you all who are new and emerging professionals, your brand is you. So, what you bring to the table. And after you establish that, then you go on to establish a media personality or a brand or a business or whatever, but it starts with you.
So that's the question actually I have for you, Tawana. They have been um, using Twitter, as we're going to see, um, for some of the Lab Week events that we do, the Twitter takeover.
Mhm.
And when they're doing that, they have to establish a Twitter account. So
Mhm.
um, when I talked with the faculty when I presented about this at the Clinical Laboratory Educators Conference, we were talking about identifying, what your handle would be. So you can make it fun, but it had to be, something that was professional and not, something that can't be shared.
Mhm.
So with that being said, um, you are kind of starting a brand already. And what would you suggest to students if they're doing that? Would you suggest for them to use their names, or would you suggest for them to use something memorable and fun, lab oriented? What do you think?
Well, I think it depends on what their goal is. So for me, for example, all of my social media, with the exception of LinkedIn, is Coach T. Wilson on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok. It's all Coach T. Wilson. It's never changed because that's part of my brand. Coach T. Wilson is me, Taiwana Wilson. And so I think, and I want to be consistent, right? So
Hmm.
I think it depends on what your goal is for that platform and that username. So on Twitter, do you plan on continuing to lean into that? So if you pick just a I don't know, lab girl 2023. I don't know, the year you graduate. Lab girl 2023. Is that who you want to be known for? Because people going to ask you, are you on Twitter? There's ways to tie it back because it's tied back to you as the profile owner, even though your username is, Lab Girl 2023. So I think it's fine to not, as a long answer to your question is, I think it's fine for profiles outside of LinkedIn to use something creative as long as you are okay with that sticking with you. I don't know if they're going to continue to use those accounts, or are they going to, ditch them and come up with something else later. But you want to be consistent. The biggest thing with branding and identifying yourself is being consistent. So if people look for me, Coach T. Wilson, is going to, on Google, is going to pull up my Instagram, is going to pull up my Twitter, is going to pull up my YouTube, is going to pull up my Facebook. So how do you want people to be able to find you, or do
E-
you?
Exactly. Exactly. So I know this sounds kind of scary, and I don't want you to not participate in Lab Week because you feel like, oh my gosh, well, if I create it, then I'm never going to be able to change it. That's not true. So, as we were talking about at the beginning, you know, um, mine started out where I just had one goal and then it expanded. And I said to you, I didn't even have this logo at the beginning. I used something else, but throughout everything else that I used, it was consistent. So when somebody is trying to identify who you are, try to use the same picture, because that way, even if you're kind of in the I don't know phase yet, you still have this picture where they're like, oh, well, that is the same person, and then you can go and alter them in the future and be consistent at the same time too. So you can start this already, make a ton of mistakes and start over, or you can switch the information. Just be aware that if you can think about it ahead of time and
Mhm.
to identify what that goal is and how you want that, what you want your brand to look like and how do you want it to be utilized, then if you can do that as much as possible, start that out in the beginning. But if
Mhm.
not, it's always changeable. Just think about how you want to be represented the whole time.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. You can change your user handle. I would just be mindful of the things that you are posting, because once it's
Absolutely.
on the social media or internet landscape, it can be found at any time. So it's okay to change directions, but just be mindful of what you might have put 5 years ago, 2 years ago,
Right.
up under that username, because once it's out there, it is out there. So that's just something to be mindful of, because in the media, we're starting to see it quite a bit where somebody posted something 10 years ago
Oh
and it's
yeah.
starting to come back, and they may not feel the way that they felt 10 years ago when they
Yep.
made that post. But unfortunately, the information is out there. So yes, you can change the username, but just be mindful of the content. With what you all will be doing with the lab week, you will be perfectly fine.
Yes, absolutely. And that is something we mentioned later on in this show today, is that keep everything related to the reason you're on there. So if you look at my stuff, um, I don't know if I can say about the same about Taiwana because I'm not sure. I haven't like searched for this or anything, but I don't post political views or anything like that. I keep out of all of that. It is purely educational, and the goal is, it's for students to use where I'm trying to collate information for them and give them accurate resources, and for educators to use. I kind of have an internal policy for myself that if I'm going to follow you, if you're posting stuff about politics and that sort of thing, most likely I'm not going to follow you, because I don't want to see that and possibly have that linked to my account, because my account quite literally is just a professional account and it is just for that kind of content. So let's talk about those available different platforms that are out there. And a lot of them, you can do live streaming and follow people, corporations, associations, and topics. You can get education from them. We are doing that right now. And they also usually have messaging capability. So private messaging versus external messaging to everyone. And as Taiwana was saying, we're seeing a lot of that external messaging coming back to bite people in the tushies. So really, this is professional for a reason. We're trying to set you up for success, not regret. And if you are not ready to have a website, but you've got all these different social accounts and you want to have some place to house them, Linktree is a really good option. Do you have a Linktree?
So I have another tool that I use, same concept as Linktree, but again, I'm a techie, so I love software. I have used Linktree, but I have something else that gives me some statistics.
Is it free?
It is not free.
Okay. So Linktree is free. I'm just putting out free stuff. I'm trying to keep it free. Um,
No, that's
but
fine, but it serves the same point.
oh, absolutely. I agree. If you want to pay for one for me, that'd be great too.
Well, since I'm a techie, I usually find where there are lifetime deals with softwares to
Oh, look at
try,
that.
and so the tool that I use, I found it on a lifetime offer, so I don't pay anything. I just pay the one time fee. Usually,
Wow.
that's when software are new
Just
and they
starting
want
out.
to get users. So
Yeah.
I told you I'm a techie, so yeah, I use a lot of different tools that I have found on these lifetime deals that I like to try, and some are good and some are not so good. But Linktree is a great resource.
So you'll see later too, you can upgrade all of these so that they are a paid situation, but I I'm all about the free too, as long as it's helpful and achieves the results you want it to. So how do you select the right platform? Number one is money, and time. Um, but it's basically a combination of all of this representation and money and time. So not every platform is going to meet your goals immediately, and it may not be the one all in one kind of deal that you want. So, as we were talking about earlier, this has been a journey that was not originally thought of in my situation. So I was giving just examples of the timeline here of how this all started. So when I became a professor at my current institution now, I took over the program. Um, I, after a while, did LinkedIn because I thought, you know what? This is probably good for me to have so people can find the program and ask me questions and stuff like that. So I jumped in on LinkedIn, but as Taiwana can tell you, I didn't really groom it very well. And I didn't really keep up with it. And Stephanie Whitehead, her co-host on Elaborate Topics, can really, really give you a good story about that. Um, because I was not utilizing it, but it was out there and it was causing people having a hard time finding me because I wasn't using it and I had forgotten the password and everything. So don't forget your password, keep on using it, engage with people. So I started the Medical Lab Lady Yo YouTube channel in the summer of 2017. And as I told you, it was for those demonstration videos for my students, but I thought maybe they could help others as well. And I wanted a promotional tool that would engage people when I go to different schools and stuff to talk about the program at the college. And it's really great to have a YouTube playing in the background and they can see the visuals of the kinds of things we do in the lab and you talk about what it is that they're doing or just talk about whatever it is that you came to say, but students honestly listen to, oh, you're a YouTuber, tell me about that. And it opens up a really nice space where we can talk about the profession and all the different things you can do once you're in it. So again, for you all watching, um, it's a combination of things. It's not just I work in this lab. It's what are your interests? I'm an artist. I am a musician and I've done acting. I've done all of that and I was a dancer and everything. And I really like all this stuff. So, um, I ended up going to Twitter, as we said, because at this point I wanted people to know my face instead of just my hands doing stuff online, because I wanted to get the ASCP 40 under 40. So that's why I started Twitter because I wanted to expand my professional network. And now we're using it to expand yours to prepare you to just jump right in to the field and know all these amazing people who are really influencing healthcare and not just in the laboratory. So then I started the store because I thought, we need something visible for everybody to see. And like I said, you all end up being walking billboards so people can see things about the lab and start a conversation. And it's grassroots promotion of the lab, and it gets you to talk about the profession that you're in or the school program that you're in, and you're promoting the profession, promoting how to get there, and helping people learn about someone, or a team member of the healthcare team that's not always seen and understood. So you're helping everyone, honestly, because patients need to know who's part of their care, and so they can correctly advocate for their care and understand what's happening. So the lab absolutely needs to be understood to help people. So then at the same time, as I was telling you, all this stuff is happening. I'm like, gee, I need a logo. Um, I really need to have these identifiable things, these visual things. And during Cell Bowl, we were making the trophy and I was making the background for everybody to be a part of. And I ended up making the logo that you see here. It was not as refined. And then I figured out how to make it a perfect circle. So, things get better upon time. And then just this year, I started the business account on Facebook to try to, continue to have, you know, something that would offer a one-stop shop. So Facebook allows me to put videos on there, link to my YouTube videos. Uh, I sell digital downloads also in my store, not just LabSwag. And, all of these different things can be provided in the Facebook business account. And I don't want to pay for a website yet. So that's where that's coming, or that's where that came from. And as we said, I can't stress this enough, separate that personal from the professional social media accounts. And everything should be based off of your desired outcomes that you want to achieve with this brand that you're building. So that's short term and long term, if you're thinking out that far. And it builds on and reinforces that brand identity. Is that brand identity just networking? Are you going to start a business? Are you trying to have a place that has content storage to help other students, or just yourself to have it in one spot so that you are studying for your BOC exam or specialist certification, or later on for use while you're in the field? And you can network in multiple ways. It doesn't have to be identifying people and networking that way. You can follow professional societies, and naturally you'll start to learn who's really implementing things for that society, who's sharing things, and then you can start to follow them. You can identify mentors. Taiwana and I are both ASCP mentors, so you can absolutely sign up to be either of ours or not. It's up to you. And you can also follow topics. Taiwana, do you have anything to say?
No, I think that you hit the nail on the head. While there are tons of social media platforms out there, don't feel like you have to be on all of them. You choose the platform that's right for you, and it will meet your goals at this time.
Yeah, things will grow organically after that, and you might augment or change. All right. Looky there. All right. So, what social media account really suits you? Since I can't hear you while you're watching this, we're just going to explore. All right. So, let's talk about that brand identity representation, personal or professional, and then business accounts are different. Okay. So, if you're doing something and it's just you as your person, that could just be networking or learning or following certain topics because you just want to be out there. You want to enjoy the party, but you're not the center of attention at the party, or you're not giving the party. So that is different versus now you are the person running the party. Okay. You could be selling products, you could be providing education, or be considered a content expert. You could be creating a community that's working for a cause where you're trying to implement change. So you all may be starting out on the left and end up turning to the right later on as you progress and grow within the field. And that's to be expected, and that's great. But even if you start out on the right side, because I know students that already have businesses, you can start doing that now. You don't need to wait. So, anything you want to say there?
No, I agree. I agree with what you have here. I don't really have anything to add at this on this slide.
All right. So the next slide, this is not meant to be like a biohazard thing. This is a Venn diagram.
That's
And
exactly what it made me think about.
right? This is a Venn diagram, and this is to show you that there's overlap of, so you, as we were saying, you can have different talents, different desires, different gifts, and outcomes. But if you want to blend them together to achieve a certain outcome, or if you just want to use different ones separately for different reasons that maybe tie into that outcome, this is what we're talking about here. So all social media accounts can be upgraded, and with that brings the different opportunities and tools that Tawana was talking about, where you can track data, and you can use that data for whatever your purposes are. And YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook all have free accounts, and you can blend them between professional, educational, and entertainment. They have that ability. That doesn't mean you should. It just means that it could go either way. So as she was saying earlier, you want to be very aware of what people can see that you're doing and following in order to make sure your brand identity is staying true to that outcome. So if you're on YouTube and you're allowing people to see the other channels that you're following and subscribing to, or seeing other videos that you like, that might not be something you want to do. And there is a setting where you can turn that off. Okay, so please be aware of that. LinkedIn has a free account, but it can also turn into a paid account. So that could be if you are, if you have the business and you are trying to recruit, you'd end up with a paid account in order to find people if you're using their recruiting tools. You can also have professional development and education that you pay for in order to improve yourself as an employee as well. And there are widgets that are dedicated to job searches and career advancement within that platform itself. So look, boom, right there. You want to have it right in the middle where you want it. Anything you want to say about targeting that middle space between all of those accounts?
No, I think you did a great job on that. In that, there are free and paid accounts. You have to figure out, when it makes sense to get a paid account. So on LinkedIn, you don't have to be a business or recruiting somebody to get a paid account. Their
Right.
premium account is really for professionals such as yourselves that maybe want access to their learning academy. So the only way you get access to their full library of training courses is if you have a premium, or what they call career type of account. Uh, but I mean, it's a great resource. If you do, have that, I do have a paid account, even when I was not on there looking for talent. So it just depends on what your needs are for you all and your purposes. Free account is just fine.
So YouTube, you can share content through video or podcast formats. And that could even be something where you started a medical laboratory um, um, group, or something at your college, and you're like, hey, let's have a thing where we do videos together and talk about study strategies, and or anything like that. So you can do that to help others within your same um position, or I'm trying to forward think as well. And that can evolve into something else. um the the medical lab Lady Gill I keep using as an example, because most of the time laboratorians are very visual. So I'm just trying to give you visual representation of how it starts and then how it could change. So you could start out with content sharing, and it could just be with unlisted videos. So unlisted videos, you get a link, and then you can give it to whoever you want to see it, and then nobody else can see it. So I do have videos like that on my channel, because we do internal interprofessional simulations and stuff, and I just make it so that students can see the other students that they need to see in order to prepare for the event. um, Whereas the ones that you all get to see are ones that I'm releasing to the public and saying, okay, everybody can see this and search this. On Twitter, you all may already have started this, as we said, with the Twitter takeover for Lab Week. So you might already be well established. And even if you are, you can always tweak that brand identity that you started. And this may be the first account that you have. And like I said earlier, I did not start this right away. It served a purpose for me. And now the purpose has changed. So, I accomplished my goal, and then it changed into something where I decided, oh, this could be used for other great things. So that's what's happening. There are there are people that I follow that do provide education, and sometimes they're live streaming, sometimes they are CE oriented too, where you can get CEs from them. So check those accounts out. They are really great. The people that I'm talking about, most of them are pathologists, but there are other people too that provide that information and that opportunity. Um, Daniela Hermelin, she's a pathologist and she specializes in blood banking, and she has these live events on Twitter, and she calls the attendees her blood banking baristas, because you're drinking like coffee and stuff while you're listening. But she does international events using Twitter. It's really neat. And then you can view the recordings and stuff. But hers are a lot of times about blood banking policies, and are we seeing a change in policies due to these worldwide events like COVID, and how are patients responding to that, and should we be changing these policies, and what are their thoughts? So she's going and talking with different countries and leaders within those countries. So in case you don't already know, guys that are watching this, I also am posting hashtags for you all to follow, so you can find different case studies and information about the different areas of the lab. And I did this because I realized I was sharing lots of content that other people were providing, or maybe I was providing, and it was great educational content. And I'm like, students could really benefit from this. And so I started categorizing them, because Twitter goes fast, right? You post something and it goes away. It doesn't live very long. I mean, it lives for all eternity, but for you to be able to find it, it takes a lot to find. And be aware, you cannot revise your post in Twitter. You have to take it down and put a new one up. That is so annoying to me, by the way. Elon, if you want to change that, that would be amazing. But I think that's part of Twitter Blue, right? You have to pay to be able to revise your posts. Um, Chemistry's up there too. Okay, so this is an example. See, it says microbiology. Some of them are microbiology and hematology, any of those microfilaria and in intracellular parasites. So it could even be microbiology, parasitology, and hematology all in one. Ah! So look out, world. But this is this is a sketch notes template that I made because my students were like, you know what we would really like? And I like it when they use visuals, right? We're all very visual. And I went to CLEC and I went to a sketch notes um, session and I'm like, this inspired me. So then I made it something fun. So you're taking a microbe on vacation and you're learning about the different stages of pathogenesis, and you get to do your own visuals to help aid in understanding all that information. So it's worked out really good, really well. The grades have gotten really nice because of this. So just hint, hint, it might be something you might want to try. And then Facebook, like I said, I have a business account. Yours may not look like this. So you can choose between personal or business accounts. And there are different types of business accounts that you can do. So it can be, having a store so you can see the different collections I have of lab swag. Um, and you can see you can do a shopping button there. There's also messaging, so you can get messages from possible clients. You can promote things. You can have videos. I started a comic just to put that out there. It's called Cell Wars. Look for more in the future. Um, and so you can use this for all different kinds of things. So you don't have to have a business account. If you are a musician, and you want to get music out and as she's saying, have multiple side hustles, you could be a musician and just build your brand on Facebook as well. Um, in my store, I have some pieces that I've drawn as lab swag. So if you've ever seen the Born to be Labulous shirts and stuff, I drew those on my cell phone because I was testing it out and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to expand the Labulous collection. And so I drew different types of women, and in their hair it says Born to be Labulous. Um, so you can do anything and you can culminate all of your talents in one place. But again, don't link that personal account to your professional account. Don't do it. If you are winning or going to try to purchase the Lab Week 2023 hoodie, I just want to caution you that only on the hoodie does it have the race plank network down the sleeve. Obviously, the short sleeve t-shirt does not have that. So if you're wanting to get one that has the race plank network part on that with the words, you have to get a hoodie for that. And that's what the pictures are representing here. It's a platelet beating out a red cell on the race, and then the planking competition and the networking. That's all my my artistry there. So all those little guys, I draw them too. So you can have a lot of fun. We have a lot of artists in the medical laboratory field. Warbler Works. I'm gonna just throw her out there. She's got a lot of stuff that she does. She has an Etsy page and she has a comic that she runs all the time. I follow her on Twitter. Do you, Taiwana, have you seen Warbler Works?
Possibly, I'm not sure. Because I follow a few people that have Etsy accounts that are laboratorians, so I'm not exactly sure if that's the one or
I
not.
bet you she is. Um, but she has some really great stuff. So we have a lot of people out there that are very creative, but join the community, you know, Come be part of our community. Do this too. Anything you want to say, Taiwana? Because we're about to jump into LinkedIn.
No, I do want to touch base on, so you talked about YouTube. So YouTube, and just for context, is more so of the platform for connecting with information. And so if you think YouTube, if you think TikTok, as of this recording, TikTok is still able to be viewed and accessed in the US, although there's a lot of controversy that's happening. It's a short form video platform. But I just wanted to say that sometimes people think, okay, which platform is best for what? And I recently did a workshop with high school students to help them understand what platforms they should be using. So that's all I wanted to say on YouTube. And then Twitter is the platform when you want to connect with experts. So as Tiffany Gill already kind of talked about, following some of those pathologists. So I know Dr. Cameron Mirza posts a lot of stuff. He's a pathologist. I follow Oprah Winfrey on Twitter. I follow
She's not
Michelle.
a pathologist.
Right. But being
You're muted.
able to that's how it goes when you're at home and you're have a little one.
That's all right. Hello, little one.
Okay, honey. So Twitter, you can follow all kind of people, experts of who I like to follow. There's some physicians that I like to follow that has a lot of content that they put out. And so that's why that platform is beneficial of following your experts. And go ahead. And then Facebook is one for really connecting with your peers. So it can be used for business purposes. Over time, the business accounts, if you are using it for that way, don't get as much attraction as they used to get. So, usually the advantage of having a business account is so that you can run ads. But there are some creative things you can do with a personal account. However, since we want to keep things separate, then I would say, have your business account or maybe have a different kind of account.
So I did this because of you've got different age groups too that are really attracted to different kinds of platforms. So you want to think about your audience as well, whether you choose whichever platform you want. All right, so we're going to talk about LinkedIn. So this is only known as a professional platform. This really hasn't been anything else. I've heard some rumors about some other ways that this went, but we're not going to talk about that today. But it's been known as a professional only platform, and it's to build your professional network, do job searches and career development, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So your profile pictures and banners show when you're open to work opportunities. They also show, again, that brand identity. So you want to be aware of how you use and utilize those pictures. And then your account profile serves as an unofficial resume. You do have an ability to print the resume and hand it out. I would suggest against that because I don't think it is very well done because I tested it out and it did not look good to me. So stick with the resume video that we recorded earlier and has been released earlier. Stick with those formats outside of trying to use the unofficial one from LinkedIn. It's not a good thing to share if you're truly trying to get a job on the websites of those institutions. So the profile shows your work history. You can have skills endorsements, and that can be from other people who know you and have experienced you professionally, maybe as a public speaker or a coach or a teacher or a tutor, whatever, mentor even. Then you can also have education and certification that are on there as well. So this is that article I was telling you about that I wrote in response to helping Lakshmi. I gave the steps that I told her, and we're going to talk about them a little more in depth here as well. And if you are able to register for the ASCLS Missouri annual meeting, I'm speaking there about this as well. So you'll all these tie in together and could make some great resources for you to get started. So this is a picture, a snapshot of my LinkedIn account on the day that I took it. It doesn't always look like this. And as you can see, we've got the profile info over here, and it tells you what my job is. My daytime job is the MLT program coordinator at the College of Southern Maryland. And looking at this entire area, this is your profile. So you can see half of my daughter's face on there. And this was from a Lab Week video we did that was promotional for the ASCLS Lab Week run many years ago. And we all got lab coats on and we had the race bib and everything. And we were doing the virtual run and we took a selfie together. And I know you all are going to say this because you were watching the other video that we say not to use selfies. But in this case, it seems kind of appropriate because when you have the picture up there, it makes it smaller, so it's kind of like a headshot. So if you can make it look like kind of like a headshot, then that's great. And I also enjoyed having her face on there a little bit too, because I am an educator. So I want to show that I work well with others and I do education for all, not just collegiate students. And she was wearing her safety goggles. So to me, it represented what I wanted to have represented. So let's take a look. All right, we've got the news feed, and these are from people that you follow. So I absolutely follow the she's the program director at Loyola in Chicago for their MLS program. Really awesome person, Dr. P. But everything that the people are posting that you follow will show up here. And then up at this top here, we've got the whole bar that talks about networking and career development. All right. And this is the place that we're really going to have a lot of conversation today, talking about the different options that you can use and those different widgets up there. And then down here are private messages. And that is where Stephanie Whitehead was trying to reach me for a long time that I did not realize. Fun story about that. She can tell you. And then public messages, you post here. So this is just like every other social media platform. You can post things publicly and share content there as well. And people can like, share, comment, and all of that. Is there something you wanted to say?
Yeah, so in regards to in regards to LinkedIn, I think how you have your profile is great, and I think you mentioned a lot of key uh, parts of the platform, I think, which is important. And so sometimes, depending on your role, so you might want to add in your title or your role, or you'll also see it where people are saying that they are, just medical laboratory scientists and not necessarily having their company listed. And so I would say, depending on the role you're getting, where it makes sense. So when I have worked with my mentees, I actually had a mentee in Africa and we worked on specifically LinkedIn. One of the things that we kind of focused on was having more so of she was a finance professional, and that's what we put, because the roles that she was trying to attract was in that market. However, with you, it totally makes sense that you have your title and your role, because people will be reaching out to you based off of that. So you all as students that's starting to get your profile up to date, you might not have an employer
Mhm.
yet. And so putting medical laboratory scientist or technician with your credentials may work just fine. Because when people are looking at your profile, the first thing they see is your name and then whatever you have listed as your title, right? And if you
Very
are
true.
looking for a job, then you want people to know that you are medical laboratory scientist, technician, histotech, cytotech, whatever the case may be. And a bonus, like pro tip, is when people search in the search bar, and it doesn't matter what account type of account you have, whether it's free or paid. If I am looking to connect with other medical laboratory scientists, I may put medical laboratory scientists, and guess who will pop up? People that have medical laboratory scientists in their profile. And as long as you have a picture, if you have a background image, which is great as well, then all of those things help you rank higher in the search if somebody was looking for you. And I guess one of the other things that I would also mention on here is, I hear a lot of people say that they are on LinkedIn, but they have a profile on LinkedIn, but they're not really engaging in the platform. And when people or use it a lot, they know if you are on it, or are you really using it. I would say, as a new person, I think you would like to get on here and start meeting and connecting with other lab professionals, and then start to have more connections too, because that speaks to your taking the platform serious, right? So if you get on and you have, 25 connections, so this part would be up under how many people you are connected to, or if you were thinking Facebook friends, right?
Mhm.
And so I know one of the things that, through the mentorship program that I was in for my student that was in South Africa, our goal was to get her connected with at least 250 people starting out. So she would go, she would inbox people, connecting with people, so that she was able to show that she was a viable professional using the platform. But I think and you'll see that up at the top where you have network and career development, where you have circled my network. That means you have 5 requests that are in. So you have to be on the the platform and either, accept those people, or reject those people. But I would say with LinkedIn, so it is a professional platform. However, they are wanting to be a platform for creatives, which is why they have newsletters. They have the ability to go LinkedIn Live and other avenues. There are a lot of people on here trying to sell a lot of different things, and you do get some spam on here, a lot more than you would have in the past. So be mindful of that. So my rule of thumb when it comes to connections is, why is this person wanting to connect with me? Is there a reciprocal relationship? Meaning
Mhm.
that if I get medical laboratory professionals that reach out to me, yeah, more than likely I'm going to accept the connection. Why? Because we have that connection of being scientists, or being in this industry. Now, and I get a lot of people that, that want to sell their service. So it could be, different kind of people in the marketing space, or the media something. And so they're looking because they want to sell their service, but I don't always connect with those people, because I want a network that's valuable to me. And just connecting with people for the sake of connecting with people does not make sense on the platform. And then
Yeah.
every now and again, I do think you should post, so at least where Tiffany has public messages, at least post once a week, or engage with content that other users have posted, because when you do that, that's additional exposure for you as well. Why? If I post something or Tiffany posts something and you comment, we see your picture along with your profile info, your title, or whatever you have listed as your title. So you want to post so that, with any of these social media platforms, it's all based off of who's using it. So those are my tips.
Very good. Yep. You can see how many people have viewed your profile. You can look at the different impressions of certain posts. So impressions are when people click on them, interact with them. Um, Private messages are where you get those recruiters responding to, or trying to engage with you through your account. So definitely keep up to date with that. I knew you were going to comment on all that stuff. I left the activity notifications there to show you what the notifications would look like. She's probably going to off camera say, you haven't been keeping up to date with your LinkedIn. But that was there on purpose.
No, I think it was good for
Okay.
the video. So it was a good example. Depending on how many people are posting and engaging your network, those notifications start to increase. So no, I think you're doing good.
Thank you. So we've got the search areas that you can use. The general search is up here for the entirety of LinkedIn, and then um, you can follow certain topics down here in the follow hashtags. And when you click on that, you're able to see what different pieces of information you follow, what content. So here is my LinkedIn profile, just part of it. It's obviously not all of it. There's way much more than that. But I have private consultant up here too, because I do stuff on the side. But you can have multiple things up as your position and not just what you see here. And this is just a list of the kinds of things that are housed in your profile. So you've got your name, title, location, work status, and skills badges. So as we said up there, those are the original things in your profile, but we've also got that if you're open to work or not. This is an option. And this is one of the things that I told her she should do. And that you need to identify when you're graduating. So remember that it's an informal resume. So they can absolutely contact you and ask you for your official resume. But the different pieces that you're putting here are just trying to show the best pieces of you, and they could, it's hook bait, right? You want to draw them in, and to keep them, they can ask for more. So then you've got account analytics as well. By the way, there are like two schools of thought with this open to work situation. Not all recruiters use software that includes that. And so if you do I forget specifically what I was going to say now, but if you choose to use the banner or not, there are two different ways that you can tag it. One is to have it on your profile picture, and the other one is where. Do you remember?
I think it'll be underneath. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's a banner that's underneath, the not around the picture, but here in the same area, that actually says open to work.
Yeah, so thank you. Not all of the recruiters basically subscribe to showing all of those, so it's not always something that's going to be utilized by recruiters. But as she was saying, you put the keywords in your profile, and that's what's going to cause your name to come up with recruiters. So you can use this to see your featured post and display featured posts. You can choose which ones you want that you're very proud of. Like if you were a public speaker somewhere and you posted that, you should put that up there so that they can see, hey, they did a public speaking engagement at this society, and that's really amazing. So that shows your engagement with the profession, even if you're a student, right? And you have your experience, education, you're following all these kinds of things, like what we said with your resume in that other video. It's just not as detailed here as in your real resume. And then the skills and endorsements down here, you can take different skill quizzes and do different modules in order to provide skills badges and everything, and that can increase your validity, I guess you could say, on LinkedIn. Do you have anything you want to say about the skills badges?
Yeah, I think anything to highlight what you actually bring to the table would be awesome. Even when you put your experience, there's a way that you can tag critical skills inside of that role. And so I think the skills badges do not hurt. I think it's another way for potential employers or scholarship panels to be able to understand what skills you actually bring to the table outside of your technical.
Absolutely. And organizational memberships are very important too. So if you're part of our professional societies as a student member, that's really good because it shows your engagement within the profession even before you graduated. So when we go to LinkedIn Jobs, that's this spot over here, that little briefcase. It provides a lot of opportunities that you can use. You can search for jobs by keyword or location, even company and date of posting, or even the experience that they require of the applicant. So if you're starting out and you want to do full time, you can do that absolutely. If you want to do it a certain area, I use this when I was making the ASCLS Missouri content. That's why it's Missouri. I don't live in Missouri. But you can go by location and hit search, and then the jobs come up, and then you can select which one you would like to look at. I chose this one, and then it shows up here, that description. It talks about the different facility and what type of job is available. But if you'll notice um, in my filter, I was choosing full-time and part-time as what I was looking for. And this is the kind of thing that showed up. So there's a list and detailed view that you can use, and you can set alerts right here, and you can keep up with them to provide more information, or things that you follow, specific types of jobs that you follow. And if you see one, like I picked on this one because Christian's right there, friend of ours. He's a connection there, so I clicked on that, and that might help you. You can say, hey, well, my professional reference is Christian because he knows me, we've worked together, and maybe that'll help you get the position. So I clicked on this one, it's shown here, and then I can share it. So I can say, hey, has anybody else seen this job? What do they think about it? Or do you think I should take this? Coach T. Wilson, who is my mentor, should I go ahead and apply for this? What do you think? So you can use that to share it, and it goes on different platforms that you see down here that maybe you already have. You can also, because of this video, you can also use this link, get a link to email it to someone, or you can message it to someone privately. You have so many options that you can use in this platform for job finding and job sharing. Questions, comments, concerns?
No, I think that was good. When you set the alerts based off what kind of job you're looking for and locations, it'll actually send you emails to whatever email that's tied to. I think it sends them once a week. It'll send you an update for those alerts. So I think what you covered was great here, but you can also by location, if there's a certain company that you want to work for, you can also keep an alert out for opportunities there too.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because you want to make sure that you set your settings in LinkedIn to email you to a specific email address. So if somebody is trying to get a hold of you, you want to use your current email address that's linked to this account so that it will just send the information to your inbox, and then it'll give you a link to go back into LinkedIn to view more information. So with LinkedIn Jobs, once you're in there, you've got this navigational bar that comes up. And this is your personal account part of this. So this is where, okay, well, I have done searches and I want to, I've saved things, I've saved jobs and I want to manage my alerts that I've got, and I want to demonstrate my skills so I can do an assessment if I want to. I can earn certificates if I want to. I can do interview preparation. So I can practice doing an interview using modules that are already set, but you have to pay for them as well. You can do a resume builder from your profile. As I said earlier, I would not recommend you sending that resume to whomever because it does not look pretty. I did one from mine, didn't like it. I wouldn't look at it. It looks very unofficial and not like the person even tried to put one together. So don't use that one, my personal opinion. And they have tutorial videos that you can use. So in the learning section of this, that is where you can earn these certificates and do some learning. So just like Coach T. Wilson has her different series that you can do online, they have different options for series you can do here too. And it ranges from all different kinds of stuff. The having Six Sigma was one that I pulled up when I was looking into this, and they've got a whole gamut of Six Sigma, and you can start to earn the different levels. You can get your green belt and all that, and you can get these learning certificates that come from that, and post them in there as well. And when you're applying for jobs, you can send that to them. So, as we said before, when you've got all these accounts, sometimes you just need a place to put them. Taiwana has a really great website that links into everything. I don't, um, because I don't want to do that right now. I'm not at that point. And you, as prospective graduates or new level, or just even people that are already working in the field for a while, maybe you don't want to have a website because you just don't have that persona yet. You don't have the need for one. I have a lot of places where I'm featured online, but I do not have a website to house that. So what did I do? I talked to Stephanie Whitehead. We were talking one day. She's a good friend of mine, and Taiwanese, and she was saying something, and then I don't know if she gave me the link tree thing or she described it or said something about it. And I said, wait a minute, what's that? And so she told me about it, and I immediately went on and got one. So It is a free account. It's customizable with a preview that looks like this. Ding, ding, ding. Um, and you can change the background. You can put your logo on there because, haha, I have a logo that looks good now, right? Took years in the making. But you can put a profile picture there that you use for all your professional stuff, including your resume, if that's what you choose. But this spot that talks about you is a very minimal. It's you can hardly put much in there. So this summary of you is not extensive. Be very, very concise as you possibly can. Medical laboratory scientist could be all you say, or phlebotomist, or histotechnologist, or anything that is your role. You could put that there. Um, so you can have a place for all your links. If you scroll down, there's more. So I've been in different articles. I wrote an article. Hey, look, I've been on podcast. Somebody knows that. I know these ladies. Taiwana's on there. Her face is right there. And I tried to redo this one, but the picture wouldn't come up. I don't know why. So the pictures do come up, but not always on all of them. So as you can see, I have different pieces that I find important that should be able to be accessed. So I have my different social media. Facebook is not a part of that, and I don't know why. So I feel like the Facebook icon should be up here, but it's not, so it's down here. I did my recognition of 40 under 40 top 5. There's the Sellable website. So the things that I find that people would most know me for, I put up at the top. And then the other things that I do as well are listed there, things that might help people. And down here is the mentorship request from ASCP, but that's not my brand, right? I am a mentor. However, that's not how people usually notice me or think about me. So that's why that's at the bottom. Like, hey, if you've liked what you've seen, click down here and apply for mentorship. And you get a QR code that's shareable. So here's mine. And I actually made a Medical Lab Lady Gill card, your professional business card that you hand out. And I put the QR code on the back, and I, concise information about what I do. And it's just like not even a sentence, with my logo on the front, a little thing at the top that says a little tiny blurb of just things that I am, and then the QR code, and that was it. What do you think about that?
I think that's awesome. I think Linktree is good. Being able to put all of your professional footprint into one profile. You're right. You absolutely do not need a website. Because I am a techie and I like to keep things consistent, I would have a domain that actually links to this so that I'm able to give that domain name. So I could have Coach T Wilson that automatically links to this page, but that's just me being a techie and buying a domain for $10 a year. Again, not required or necessary. A website is not necessary. Honestly, most people don't even go to a website multiple times unless it has constant updates. So if it's static, people may go there once and never go back. So yeah, I wouldn't invest in a ton of money for a website, if you will, but a domain name, yeah, that I could see that if you were somebody that wanted, like I own my domain name, TaiwanaWilson.com. And so you can link a domain to any page. I could link Taiwana Wilson to my LinkedIn page. So that's just kind of a pro tip from your scientist mentor who's also a techie. But I think that's great. You mentioned about having a card. I think that's also a good thing. You don't need a certain title. Sometimes people feel like they need to be a manager or supervisor to have a professional or a business card. But if you ask Tiffany Channer, the very first time that I met her, who's another medical laboratory scientist, she created her own business cards that had her name. She's a medical laboratory scientist, and she was a bench scientist at the time. And she went right on Vistaprint and created those. And I hadn't seen anybody do anything like that, and it was so memorable. So if you feel like you need to have, something to hand out, then that's also an option. But just wanted to clarify, because sometimes people feel like they have to be a manager or supervisor or, a program director to have a business card. Anybody could have a business card. You don't have to be given that card from your employer. You can make yours. But Tiffany Channer, the very first time that I met her, she created her own cards, which was part of her brand. And that's what made her stand out. And that's how we have kept in touch, just because she was just rememberable that way.
That's a good practice. Even back in, colonial times and stuff. I don't know if you all know this history, but they would have their own card and they would go to a house, the servant would answer the door, they would give their card, and the servant would go give the card to the owner of the home, and then the owner of the home would say, "Yes, I'll receive them," or "No, I will not." Um, so even if you read Sherlock Holmes, which I do, um, I've read all of Sherlock Holmes actually, but even in that, you can see he gives the card and waits at the door for the servant to go to the master of the house and say, "Okay, yes, we will receive," or "No, we will not." And it's absolutely a great idea to have a card. So I did one for my brand. And if you notice across all of platforms um, except for LinkedIn, it's always Medical Lab Lady Gill, because that's so easy. You want, as she's been saying, you want to stay consistent. So visibly, you want to stay consistent, and brand name wise, you want to be consistent. Everybody knows a brand for its name, and they expect, anytime that they see that name, that's this, right? Gucci, Calvin Klein, Louis Vuitton, whatever the case. So that you're the Gucci of the lab. So the only one that's this different too is Twitter. I couldn't get all of Gill on there. It was just Medical Lab Lady G. So sorry. But having the card, it makes it very nice and clean. Logo on the front, QR on the back. It says stuff, it just has just different titles of the kinds of things that I am. But I hand that out all the time. I have business cards for the college, but I use this because even at my daytime position, the channel was made for the position I have. So I still hand it out. It's a recruiting tool. So I hand these cards out at speaking engagements. I hand them out at recruiting events, and they will always link back to, oh, this person, she works at CSM. So, all right. Well, here are our references. And did you have any last thoughts, comments?
Only thing I would say is, as you are creating your professional brand in social media, you're just looking for ways to give you that added edge. So, outside of your technical expertise, outside of having your degree and your certification, because I know you all will get your certification, then what makes you all unique? What makes you different? And these are tools that you could use. You being on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever the case may be, these are tools. So if you have your link tree, if you presented a poster, if you were in the Sale Bowl, and maybe if you were the winner, Those are tools. And then having that business card, it's a tool, but yet it goes to your professional brand, right? So when you go to conferences, if you hopefully I'll see you all at the ASCP annual meeting in the fall, or the ASCLS Jam conference, or wherever I may see you in person, have your card that way that people don't have time to grab their phone and go to LinkedIn, and you can give them the card, which Tiffany has already said you can create you a QR code, you can print them real cheap on Vistaprint, and that will make you stand out. If I seen a student or a new grad that had their card with their name, their email, you can have your social accounts, your LinkedIn, Twitter, if you were on there posting some content that's relevant, then that would make me want to follow up. So those are some easy wins for you to be able to stand out and to start to create your brand. Remember, you want to be the one that people can come to you and they'll look at you. So as I interview people, I always say, and funny enough, I have a relatively new colleague. I think he's been working about 3 years. And he said he still remember this from the interview. I said, what makes you stand out from everybody else that we are interviewing? They all have bachelor's degrees. They all have the same amount of experience that you have. They all have the high GPAs. Technically, you all are the same. So what makes you stand out? And I did go to LinkedIn and I did look him up to see, what he had on that platform. So, those are things too to consider. People are always, looking at getting the best candidate because it costs. It
Yeah.
costs to have a bad hire. That
Yeah.
that is the cost. It costs to have a bad hire. So the way that you can put yourself to the top of the stack is the better way to go. And that starts with creating your professional brand and using these tools as a help to give you that competitive advantage.
Yes, absolutely. Always do things that will help you be set apart. Student membership is huge in your societies. It's huge. Scholarships, absolutely. Everything, if it's a renowned scholarship that you had to do something specific and people in that sector know about it and it's a big deal, talk about it. Say, make sure it's provided on your awards section and it's on your LinkedIn and everything. But um, we just want to help you get that first desired job. It's you can always get a job, but the one that you really desire, the one you really want to sink your teeth into and start your career, that's what we're trying to get you to get. So, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Coach T, for round two of our professional development here today.
Thank you for having me. As always, it's been a pleasure to be on your platform. Hopefully, your viewers are able to get a few practical tips. We've shared a lot of information, and for some of you, this may be your first exposure to me. For others of you, you might have already had exposure to me, but you know how I feel about certain things. And that one thing is we've shared a lot with you, but pick out those few tips that you can go ahead and implement today. So I know you have tons of notes, you have tons of things to think about, but pick those things that you can start to put into practice where you can start to have action. And that's when you start to have results. So thank you for letting me share. I know we could have talked about LinkedIn all day, and maybe that's another show where we will go through and maybe help you actually set up your profile. But you do have some great tips to get you started. So I hope to, if you all have a profile, look me up. Send me
Mhm.
an inbox so that I can know that you are on the profile, and I look forward to staying connected with you.
All right. Thank you so much. If you like this video, like it Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more information and other videos that come your way. Set your subscription alerts to make it so that anytime there's new content, you get told. So thank you so much, Taiwana, for coming on. Please check out Trendy Elite and Coach T. Wilson online. And if you are not contacting her through LinkedIn, you can follow her on different social media accounts. You can just even Google her, and she's everywhere. So thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you next time. And happy Lab Week! Yay! Bye.